Over the years, some black celebrities haven't just made headlines for their incredible talents, they've also become infamous for their wild, unpredictable love lives. From shocking affairs and secret flings to whirlwind weddings and messy, very public breakups, these stars turned their personal dramas into front-page stories. Their romances weren't just passionate, they were chaotic, scandalous, and impossible to ignore, keeping fans hooked and tabloids spinning. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr., 1925 to 1990, wasn't just one of the greatest entertainers of the 20th century. He was a force of nature, a man whose dazzling stage presence was matched only by the complexity of his private life. With a career that spanned singing, dancing, and acting, Davis became a cultural icon, breaking barriers at every turn. But behind the spotlight, his romantic life played out like a Hollywood drama, filled with passion, controversy, and defiance against the harsh racial norms of his time. His most headline-making relationship was with Swedish actress May Britt. In 1960, at a time when interracial marriage was still illegal in much of America, Sammy boldly married her, an act that triggered death threats, media firestorms, and political backlash. Yet their love endured for 8 tumultuous years, producing a daughter and 2 adopted sons, before the crushing weight of public pressure tore them apart in 1968. Later, he found lasting companionship with entertainer Alto Vice Gore, whom he married in 1970. They remained together until his death in 1990. Throughout his life, Davis was also rumored to be romantically linked with legendary stars like Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, and Eartha Kitt, relationships that mirrored the same intensity, complexity, and courage that defined his life on and off the stage. Sammy Davis Jr. lived unapologetically at the crossroads of fame, race, and forbidden love, his personal journey a roller coaster of triumph, heartbreak, and relentless resistance in a divided America. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor, 1940 to 2005. Richard Pryor's life was as bold, chaotic, and unfiltered as the groundbreaking comedy that made him a legend. On stage, he turned pain into punchlines, confronting America's deepest wounds with raw, unapologetic honesty. Off stage, his personal life mirrored that same intensity, full of passion, heartbreak, and a relentless search for love in a world that often felt too heavy to bear. He was married 7 times to 5 different women, his relationships a whirlwind of affection and volatility. His first marriage to Patricia Price dissolved quickly, setting the tone for a lifetime of turbulent romances. Among the most unforgettable was his fiery love affair with actress Pam Grier. In her memoir, she revealed both the tenderness and the torment of their time together, battles with addiction, betrayal, and emotional chaos. Pryor's demons, especially his struggles with drugs and mental illness, often sabotaged the very intimacy he craved. Yet Richard Pryor never hid from the truth, not in his art, and not in his life. He broke barriers by openly acknowledging his relationships with men, fearlessly challenging the rigid definitions of masculinity in Hollywood. This candor made his legacy all the more complex, all the more human. Through it all, his most lasting bond was with Jennifer Lee, his 5th wife, whom he married twice. She stood by him until his final breath in 2005. His love life, like his career, was explosive, messy, vulnerable, and deeply real. It was the story of a man unafraid to love out loud, even when it hurt. Jim Brown. Jim Brown, 1936 to 2023. Jim Brown wasn't just one of the greatest football players to ever grace the field. He was a force of nature, both in sports and in life. With the Cleveland Browns, he shattered records and redefined what power, speed, and dominance looked like in the NFL. But off the field, his life was just as intense, filled with passion, controversy, and a magnetic charisma that kept him in the public eye long after he retired his jersey. His first great love was Sue Brown, whom he married in 1958. Together, they had 3 children and built what many believed to be a solid family life. But behind closed doors, challenges mounted. The marriage ultimately ended in divorce in 1969, though Jim remained deeply involved in his children's lives. As the 1970s and 80s rolled in, so did headlines about Jim's high-profile romances. Models, actresses, and socialites were drawn to his larger-than-life presence. But his romantic life often veered into turbulent territory, marked by troubling allegations of domestic violence and legal battles that clouded his once pristine image. Despite the storms, his most enduring relationship came later in life with Monique Brown, whom he married in 1997. Through trials, courtrooms, and public scrutiny, Monique stood firm, loyal, fierce, and unwavering. Jim Brown lived every moment the way he played the game, with boldness, intensity, and zero apologies. His legacy is a complicated one, part greatness, part controversy, but undeniably unforgettable. Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams, 1937, present. With his unforgettable portrayal of Lando Calrissian in Star Wars, Billy D. Williams became the embodiment of suave masculinity, a smooth voice, magnetic presence, and effortless cool that made him an icon. Off-screen, his love life was just as captivating as the characters he played, earning him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most enduring heartthrobs. His first marriage to Audrey Sellers brought him a son, Corey. Though the union ended in divorce, it marked the beginning of a life filled with both cinematic triumphs and deeply personal chapters. In 1972, Williams found love again with Teruko Nakagami. Together, they welcomed their daughter Hanako. While the couple faced a brief separation in the 1980s, they ultimately reconciled, standing the test of time and becoming a quiet testament to lasting love in an industry often known for fleeting romances. Despite persistent rumors linking him to glamorous actresses and singers over the decades, Williams managed to keep much of his personal life out of the spotlight. That mystery only added to his allure. Through it all, he remained grounded, often speaking about the importance of love, loyalty, and family. While many stars of his era saw their careers overshadowed by scandal, Billy D. Williams maintained a graceful balance between fame and privacy. His legacy isn't just defined by the roles he played, but by the life he built, one of elegance, resilience, and timeless charm. In a world where so much fades, Billy D. Williams proved that true style and true love never go out of fashion. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, 1961, present. Eddie Murphy didn't just dominate comedy, he defined an era. Bursting onto the scene in the 1980s with Saturday Night Live and box office hits like Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, and The Nutty Professor, Murphy became a Hollywood powerhouse. But behind the laughter and lights, his love life has been just as headline-grabbing as his movies. From whirlwind romances to public heartaches, Eddie's journey through love has been a roller coaster. His first major relationship with model Nicole Mitchell led to marriage in 1993 and 5 beautiful children. 4 years, they seemed like the picture of Hollywood harmony. But by the early 2000s, cracks began to show, and in 2006, they finalized a highly publicized divorce. Despite the end of their marriage, the two have built a respectful and steady co-parenting bond. Soon after, Eddie's brief but explosive romance with Spice Girl Mel B dominated tabloids. Their daughter, Angel, was born amidst controversy and a very public paternity battle. After months of speculation, a DNA test confirmed what many had suspected: Eddie was her father. In 2012, a quieter chapter began with Australian model Paige Butcher. Their relationship, though far more private, has brought a sense of peace. Together, they've welcomed 2 children, Izzy and Max. While rumors have occasionally swirled around Murphy's private life, he's largely stayed out of the spotlight in recent years. Still, Eddie Murphy's romantic saga remains as compelling as his career, full of love, scandal, growth, and resilience. He isn't just one of Hollywood's greatest entertainers, he's also one of its most enduring and intriguing stars. Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith, 1971, present. Jada Pinkett Smith's love life has played out like a Hollywood drama, raw, riveting, and relentlessly public. Her decades-long marriage to superstar Will Smith has defied every traditional mold. Since tying the knot in 1997, the two have navigated fame, family, and personal evolution, raising their children, Jaden and Willow, under the intense glare of the spotlight. But behind the red carpet smiles lies a story filled with passion, pain, and emotional complexity. Long before Will, Jada shared a deep and unforgettable bond with the late rapper Tupac Shakur, a connection rooted in loyalty, creativity, and soul-level friendship. Though they always insisted it wasn't romantic, their chemistry sparked endless speculation. Even years after Tupac's death, Jada's heartfelt tributes and lingering affection stirred headlines, and reportedly tension in her marriage. But perhaps the most explosive chapter came in 2020, when singer August Alsina publicly revealed a romantic relationship with Jada while she was still married. The confession sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Jada addressed the controversy head-on in her now iconic Red Table Talk episode, coining the term heard around the world, entanglement. The moment went viral, transforming private heartbreak into a public reckoning. Through it all, Jada has remained unapologetically open, sharing her journey of healing, growth, and truth. Her romantic life, marked by passion and missteps, continues to captivate audiences, not just because of the scandal, but because of her unwavering commitment to authenticity in a world that rarely forgives imperfection. Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman, 1961. Present a love life as wild as his game. Dennis Rodman has never lived life quietly. On the court, he was a relentless force, diving for rebounds, clashing with rivals, and playing with unmatched intensity. Off the court, he was a walking headline, known for his outrageous fashion, raw vulnerability, and fearless rebellion against the norm. But just as legendary as his basketball legacy is the chaos and passion of his romantic life. His first major love was model Annie Bakes, the mother of his daughter, Alexis. Their relationship was a storm of love, betrayal, and heartbreak, marked by emotional highs and devastating lows. Though their marriage ended in a painful divorce, Rodman has remained a part of Alexis's life, holding on to the one steady bond in a world of chaos. Then came Carmen Electra, the Hollywood firecracker. Their relationship was pure adrenaline. In 1998, after a wild weekend in Las Vegas, the pair shocked the world by getting married on a whim. Their love was electric but combustible, filled with tabloid-fueled arguments and passionate reconciliations. Just 9 days later, Electra filed for an annulment, but the flame flickered on and off until their official split in 1999. Perhaps Rodman's most infamous romance, however, was with pop icon Madonna in the mid-90s. Their connection was as unpredictable as the two stars themselves, bold, scandalous, and unapologetically wild. Rodman would later claim that Madonna once offered him millions of dollars to father her child, a jaw-dropping revelation that only deepened the mythos of their twisted love story. In the end, Dennis Rodman's romantic journey, like his career, is unforgettable, chaotic, passionate, rebellious, and undeniably iconic. Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, 1967, present. Jamie Foxx is one of Hollywood's most gifted and multifaceted stars, effortlessly blending comedy, music, and acting into a career that's earned him critical acclaim and a loyal global following. But beyond the spotlight, it's his romantic life that stirred just as much curiosity, wrapped in mystery, star-studded connections, and a level of secrecy that keeps fans guessing. Among his most talked-about relationships was his long-rumored romance with actress Katie Holmes. Reportedly beginning around 2013, the relationship was one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets. Rarely photographed together and never officially confirmed for years, their low-key bond only fueled media frenzy. When they finally appeared publicly as a couple in 2019, it was a moment fans had long speculated about, though the relationship reportedly ended later that same year. Before Holmes, Foxx was linked to high-profile names like actress Stacey Dash and model Kristen Grannis, the mother of his youngest daughter, Annalise. He also shares a close bond with his eldest daughter, Corinne Foxx, from a previous relationship. Following in her father's footsteps, Corinne has carved out a successful path in the entertainment industry herself. Despite his fame, Jamie Foxx remains a master of keeping his private life under wraps. His charm, talent, and aura of mystery continue to captivate audiences, making him not just a Hollywood icon, but one of its most magnetic and elusive figures. Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence, 1965. Present a comedic legend with a turbulent love life. Martin Lawrence, the comedic powerhouse behind the iconic Martin TV show and box office smashes like Bad Boys and Big Mama's House, has lived a personal life just as colorful and unpredictable as the characters he plays. Beyond the laughs and spotlight, his romantic journey has been marked by tender moments, public breakups, and heartfelt resilience, making him a constant topic of media fascination. In 1995, Lawrence married Patricia Southall, former Miss Virginia, USA. A year later, they welcomed their daughter Jasmine, but the marriage unraveled quickly, ending in divorce by 1997. Still, the two maintained a respectful co-parenting relationship, standing by Jasmine as she followed in her father's footsteps into the entertainment world. Then came a long chapter with Shamika Gibbs. After dating for 15 years, the couple finally tied the knot in 2010. They shared 2 daughters, Amara and Iana, and for a time, seemed to have built a solid, loving home. But just 2 years into the marriage, they quietly filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Despite the heartbreak, the split remained amicable, with both parents focused on creating stability for their daughters. Through all the ups and downs, Martin Lawrence never let his private struggles dim his public light. His signature humor, electric charisma, and ability to turn pain into punchlines have kept him at the top of Hollywood's comedy royalty. Even with a love life marked by twists and turns, Lawrence continues to shine. On stage, on screen, and in the hearts of fans everywhere. Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr., 1968, present. Cuba Gooding Jr. burst into Hollywood with a fire few could ignore, from his unforgettable "Show Me the Money" moment in Jerry Maguire to powerful performances in Boys and the Hood and Radio. With an Academy Award under his belt, he became one of the most dynamic actors of his generation. But behind the spotlight and accolades lies a personal life just as intense, filled with deep love, public scandal, and personal turmoil. At the heart of his romantic journey was his high school sweetheart, Sarah Kapfer. They married in 1994 and shared over 2 decades together, raising 3 children away from the constant glare of the media. 4 years, they seemed like a rare Hollywood success story, grounded, devoted, and private. But in 2014, the illusion shattered when Sarah filed for legal separation, citing irreconcilable differences. Their long union officially ended in 2017, after a drawn-out and emotionally draining divorce. What followed marked a dark chapter. In the years after the split, Gooding's name made headlines not for his performances, but for serious allegations. Multiple women came forward accusing him of sexual misconduct, from unwanted advances to groping. He pleaded not guilty and fought the charges in court, but the damage to his public image was undeniable. Once celebrated, his career slowed, shadowed by scandal. Yet, through all the turmoil, Cuba Gooding Jr. remains a figure people still talk about, a man whose immense talent earned him a place in Hollywood history, even as his personal choices cast a long, complicated shadow. His story is one of brilliance and brokenness, love and loss, a cautionary tale wrapped in fame. Nia Long. Nia Long, 1970, present. A timeless symbol of beauty, grace, and raw talent, Nia Long has captivated audiences for decades. Bursting onto the scene in the 1990s with unforgettable performances in Boys and the Hood, Love Jones, and The Best Man, she quickly became a beloved figure in black cinema and beyond. But beyond the silver screen, Nia's personal journey has been just as compelling, marked by passion, heartbreak, and unwavering resilience. One of her most high-profile relationships was with former Boston Celtics head coach Ime Udoka. For over a decade, they appeared to share a deep and supportive bond, raising their son Kez together. But in 2022, everything changed. When Udoka was suspended from the NBA over an alleged workplace affair, the scandal shattered the illusion of stability. Thrust into an unwanted spotlight, Nia made the brave decision to walk away, choosing her peace, her son, and her self-respect. Before Udoka, Nia was engaged to actor Masai Dorsey, with whom she shares her eldest son, Masai Jr. Though the engagement ended before marriage, the two remained committed co-parents, keeping their focus on their child's happiness. Over the years, Nia has also been quietly linked to stars like rapper T.I. and actor Chris Tucker, though she's always kept the deepest parts of her heart out of public reach. Through every twist and turn, Nia Long has moved with quiet strength and unwavering dignity. She's balanced a celebrated acting career with the demands of motherhood, building a legacy not just as an icon on screen, but as a woman of substance and resilience. In an industry that often forgets its stars, Nia Long has remained unforgettable. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes, 1962, present. Wesley Snipes has lived a life as electrifying off-screen as the action-packed roles that made him a star. From slicing through vampires in Blade to ruling the streets in New Jack City and soaring through danger in Passenger 57, Snipes became the embodiment of strength, swagger, and raw charisma. But behind the fierce exterior was a man whose real-life journey rivaled any Hollywood script, filled with fiery romances, public scandals, and a redemption arc worthy of the big screen. In the early 1990s, Snipes entered into a passionate and highly publicized romance with Oscar-winning actress Halle Berry. Though their time together was short-lived, the breakup left a lasting mark. Whispers of betrayal and emotional turmoil swirled in tabloids, and with Snipes choosing to remain silent on the matter, the mystery only deepened, turning their relationship into one of Hollywood's most whispered-about what-ifs. Throughout the 90s, he became known as one of Tinseltown's most eligible bachelors, linked to a string of glamorous models, actresses, and socialites. But in 2003, he took a different path, marrying painter Naekyung Nikki Park. With her, he found a rare sense of peace and stability, building a quiet family life and raising 4 children far from the glare of flashing cameras. Still, calm wouldn't last forever. In 2008, Snipes was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to 3 years in prison, a shocking fall from grace for the Hollywood hero. Yet through it all, his family stood by him, weathering the storm with quiet strength. Upon his release, Snipes didn't retreat, he rebuilt. With roles in The Expendables 3 and Coming to America, he reminded the world that stars may stumble, but the truly great ones rise again. Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard, 1969, present. Terrence Howard's love life has been every bit as dramatic and layered as the roles he's brought to life on screen. Known for his unforgettable performances in Hustle and Flow, Empire, and Iron Man, Howard's real-life relationships have been filled with fiery passion, painful heartbreak, and unexpected second chances. He's been married 5 times, to just 3 women, each chapter marked by intense emotions, public scrutiny, and deeply personal highs and lows. His first major relationship was with Lori McComas, whom he married not once, but twice. Though their love story was marred by allegations of domestic strife and heated arguments, it also gave him 3 of his greatest joys: his children Aubrey, Heaven, and Hunter. Despite the painful end of their marriage in 2005, Howard has remained a devoted father, often saying that fatherhood saved him. In 2010, Howard wed Michelle Gent, but their union unraveled quickly in a storm of legal battles and mutual accusations of abuse. Their contentious divorce played out in the tabloids, dragging their private pain into the public spotlight and revealing the darker undercurrents of their relationship. Yet through all the emotional wreckage, Howard eventually found peace in the arms of Mira Pack, a restaurateur and model. They married in 2013, divorced 2 years later, and then found their way back to each other, remarrying in 2018. Together, they share 2 sons, Kieran and Hero. Howard often calls Mira his soulmate, the grounding force who brought him stability, purpose, and the quiet strength he had long searched for. Terrence Howard's journey through love and loss mirrors the raw emotional depth he brings to his acting. It's a story of redemption, resilience, and the enduring hope that even after the darkest storms, love can rise again. Philip Michael Thomas. Philip Michael Thomas, born in 1949 and forever etched in pop culture as the effortlessly cool detective Ricardo Tubbs from Miami Vice, wasn't just an actor, he was an era. With his sharp suits, smooth demeanor, and magnetic charisma, Thomas helped redefine what cool looked like on television in the 1980s. Audiences couldn't get enough, and neither could Hollywood. But off-screen, his life was just as captivating, a whirlwind of passion, high-profile romances, and a sprawling, blended family. At the height of Miami Vice fame, Thomas was linked to a string of glamorous actresses, models, and entertainers, earning him the nickname of one of Hollywood's most eligible bachelors. His charm wasn't just for the screen, it spilled into real life. He reportedly fathered 11 children with 5 different women, yet always spoke proudly of his role as a father. Despite the challenges that come with a large and complex family dynamic, Thomas maintained close bonds with many of his children, often highlighting the importance of love, connection, and values in interviews. Though his stardom dimmed after Miami Vice, Thomas never stopped creating. He ventured into music, writing, and other artistic paths, proving that his spirit was as vibrant as ever. His legacy isn't just that of a trailblazing actor, it's that of a man whose life blended ambition, creativity, and undeniable charm into a story as unforgettable as the roles he played. Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers, 1948, present. A force both on and off the screen, Carl Weathers carved his name into Hollywood history with his unforgettable role as Apollo Creed in the Rocky series. His chiseled physique, magnetic charm, and rugged good looks made him an instant heartthrob, while his commanding presence gave every character he played an edge of authenticity. But behind the spotlight and roaring applause was a man of quiet dignity, choosing to keep much of his personal life away from Hollywood's ever-prying gaze. Weathers' first marriage to Mary Ann Castle brought 2 children into his life, but ended in divorce. His second union with Jennifer Peterson also ended quietly, with few public details ever revealed. Unlike many of his celebrity peers, Carl has deliberately shielded his romantic life from the tabloids, allowing his work, not his relationships, to define his legacy. Still, whispers of flings with famous actresses and models have followed him for decades, adding just enough mystery to fuel the intrigue. On screen, he was fierce and relentless. Off-screen, colleagues often described him as thoughtful, grounded, and thoroughly professional. It's this rare blend of strength and sensitivity that made him beloved by fans and respected by those who worked beside him. While his love life may have seen its share of heartbreak, Carl Weathers remains a timeless icon, an enduring symbol of Hollywood power, grace, and poise in a world that's constantly changing. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, 1937, present. Bill Cosby's life has become one of the most dramatic falls from grace in modern entertainment. Once hailed as America's Dad for his warm, wise portrayal of Cliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show, he was a pioneer who reshaped the image of black fatherhood on television. His decades-long marriage to Camille Cosby, which began in 1964 and produced 5 children, seemed to reflect the very values he preached on screen: family, stability, and integrity. But behind the camera, a much darker truth was simmering. Whispers of infidelity followed Cosby for years, largely ignored by a public that clung to his wholesome image. That illusion came crashing down in the mid-2010s when more than 60 women stepped forward with harrowing allegations of sexual misconduct, spanning decades. In 2018, Cosby was convicted of aggravated indecent assault against Andrea Constand, sending shockwaves through the world. He was sentenced to prison, only for the conviction to be overturned on a legal technicality in 2021, a decision that divided public opinion and reignited deep outrage. Though he continues to claim innocence, the damage is irreversible. Cosby's legacy, once rooted in laughter and groundbreaking cultural impact, is now forever stained by scandal and betrayal. The man who once stood as a symbol of progress has become a cautionary tale of power abused and trust shattered. Chris Rock. Chris Rock, 1965, present. Chris Rock's love life has been as raw and unfiltered as the punchlines in his iconic stand-up routines. His marriage to Malik Compton Rock, which began in 1996, appeared picture-perfect to the outside world. With 2 daughters, Lola and Zara, the couple seemed to embody Hollywood stability. But behind closed doors, cracks were forming. After 20 years together, their marriage ended in 2016, a quiet heartbreak that rocked those who saw them as unshakable. In his brutally honest comedy special Tambourine, Rock pulled back the curtain, admitting to infidelity and emotional immaturity. He spoke candidly about how fame fed his ego, made temptation nearly impossible to resist, and ultimately cost him his marriage. It was a confession that sparked both criticism and praise, but above all, it showed a man unafraid to confront his flaws. Since the divorce, Rock has been romantically linked to several high-profile women, including actress Megalyn Echikunwoke, though that relationship reportedly ended in 2020. Through it all, Rock has turned personal pain into powerful comedy, proving once again that laughter can be born from even the most difficult truths. His ability to expose his own wounds while making others laugh is exactly what keeps him at the top, a master of comedy and vulnerability, still evolving in front of the spotlight. Cat Williams. Cat Williams, 1971, present. Cat Williams' love life has been just as wild, unpredictable, and electric as his stand-up routines. Famous for his razor-sharp wit, over-the-top stage presence, and no-holds-barred social commentary, Williams has lived a life filled with intense romances, dramatic breakups, and deeply personal battles. Though fiercely private about his relationships, flashes of his romantic past have surfaced through courtrooms, headlines, and even his own brutally honest comedy sets. He's fathered several children across different relationships and has opened his heart even wider by adopting others, a softer, more nurturing side that contrasts with his often chaotic public image. But love hasn't always been smooth for the comedy icon. Legal troubles, custody battles, and fiery public outbursts have made him a tabloid favorite, often overshadowing his artistry. Despite rumors linking him to models and entertainers, Williams rarely confirms anything, keeping fans guessing. His unpredictable nature, on stage and off, has carved out a legendary place for him in comedy history. Through all the chaos, one thing remains true. Cat Williams knows how to own a stage with unapologetic truth and unfiltered emotion, securing his spot as one of the most unforgettable voices in Hollywood comedy. Pam Grier. Pam Grier, 1949, present. Pam Grier has lived a life as bold, fiery, and unforgettable as the iconic characters she brought to the screen. Crowned the queen of blaxploitation cinema for her fierce roles in Foxy Brown, Coffee, and Sheba, Baby, Grier didn't just play strong women, she was one. Off-screen, her life unfolded like a Hollywood script, full of passionate love affairs, heartbreak, and an unshakable devotion to self-worth. In the 1970s, Her name was linked to some of the era's most famous men, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Freddie Prinze, and the wildly brilliant but troubled Richard Pryor. Her relationship with Pryor, perhaps the most intense, was a roller coaster of deep love and emotional chaos, shadowed by his drug addiction and unpredictable outbursts. In her memoir Foxy, My Life in 3 Acts, Greer laid bare the pain and passion of their time together. Though she loved him fiercely, she ultimately chose to walk away, to save herself. Her romance with NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar brought its own complications. He proposed, but only on the condition she convert to Islam and abandon her acting career. Greer refused. Choosing independence over surrender, she turned down the proposal and reaffirmed what would become her lifelong motto: never lose yourself for love. Despite the public attention and private battles, Pam Grier emerged as more than a screen siren. She became a symbol of resilience, strength, and unapologetic authenticity. Her legacy endures not just for the role she played, but for the fearless way she lived her truth, both in front of the camera and behind closed doors. Tyrese Gibson. Tyrese Gibson, Love, Loss, and the Price of Passion. Born in 1978, Tyrese Gibson's love life has been just as high-octane and dramatic as his roles in Fast and Furious. Among his most publicized relationships was his marriage to Samantha Lee, a social worker he wed in 2017. Together, they shared not only a daughter but also what seemed to be a deep and affectionate bond, frequently posting moments of love and unity on social media. But behind the smiles, storms were brewing. In 2020, the couple split in a painful, very public divorce that left fans divided. Tyrese poured his heart out in a raw, emotional Instagram post about heartbreak and mental health, a move that drew both compassion and controversy. Samantha, by contrast, remained mostly silent, adding mystery to the unraveling of their relationship. Before Samantha, Tyrese's dating life was a whirlwind of passion, often involving high-profile women in the entertainment world, models, musicians, and actresses. Each romance seemed to burn bright and fade fast. One of the most buzzed about was his rumored relationship with R&B singer Brandy Norwood in the early 2000s. The two were often seen together, sparking rumors that were never fully confirmed or denied. Then there was his undeniable chemistry with Taraji P. Henson in Baby Boy. A pairing so electric, fans still root for them as one of Hollywood's most iconic duos, even though they were never officially together. Tyrese has never hidden from the spotlight when it comes to matters of the heart. His raw honesty, sometimes messy, often emotional, has played out for the world to see. From tearful live videos to poetic posts about love lost, he's laid bare the inner battles many stars keep hidden. Through it all, he calls himself a hopeless romantic, a man still searching for a love that lasts. His candid reflections on relationships, fatherhood, and mental health have kept fans deeply connected to his journey. In a world where image often trumps truth, Tyrese remains one of Hollywood's most emotionally transparent stars. His story isn't just about fame or heartbreak, it's about resilience, vulnerability, and a never-ending belief in love. And as his journey continues, one thing is certain: the world will be watching. So, what do you think of Tyrese's roller coaster ride through love and loss? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you remember the child stars who once lit up our screens and defined an entire generation's childhood? Their faces were everywhere, beloved, iconic, unforgettable. But somewhere along the way, their light began to fade. Some vanished without warning. Others faced heartbreak, scandal, or tragedy far too soon. What happened to these once celebrated young talents? Why did Hollywood turn its back on them, or worse, forget them entirely? In this video, we're taking you back to their brightest moments and revealing the dark, unexpected turns that led to their heartbreaking disappearances from the spotlight. Lee Thompson-Young, a bright star dimmed too soon. Lee Thompson-Young was once the face of hope and promise in Hollywood, a teen icon with a beaming smile and eyes that radiated passion. Bursting onto the scene as the beloved lead in the famous Jet Jackson, he captured hearts across the nation and quickly became the poster child for young stardom. At just 14, he had what so many dreamed of: fame, opportunity, and a future paved in gold. But behind the cameras and applause, a much darker story was unfolding, one the world never saw coming. As the years passed, the glitter of early fame began to fade. Transitioning from child star to adult actor proved far more brutal than anyone imagined. Though he landed roles in shows like Rizzoli and Isles, Lee was no longer the industry's golden boy. He became a quiet figure in the background, working hard but haunted by the feeling of being forgotten. The vibrant light that once shone so brightly now flickered in silence. But the real battle wasn't with Hollywood, it was within. Lee suffered from bipolar disorder, a painful truth he never shared publicly. Behind that familiar smile were sleepless nights, crushing lows, and a loneliness so deep it swallowed him whole. He lived in silence, retreating from friends, from life, and from the world that once celebrated him. Those around him saw a fading star. No one saw the storm he was fighting alone. Then came August 19, 2013, a gray, rainy day that would mark the end of his story. At just 29, Lee took his own life in his apartment, leaving behind more than heartbreak. He left a chilling reminder that even the brightest stars can burn out in the shadows of mental illness. His death wasn't just a tragedy for Hollywood. It was a sobering wake-up call about the hidden cost of fame and the silence that too often surrounds mental health. Lark Voorhees. Lark Voorhees, once the dazzling teen queen of Saturday mornings, became a haunting reminder of how quickly fame can fade and how devastating the fall can be. As Lisa Turtle on Saved by the Bell, she lit up the screen with charm, wit, and undeniable beauty, becoming a 90s icon and every teen's dream girl. But behind the scenes, time and tragedy were quietly rewriting her story. As Hollywood moved on to the next big thing, Lark's name slowly vanished from the spotlight. But it wasn't just the loss of fame that marked her decline, it was the silent war within. In 2012, Lark revealed she had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, a mental health condition that began to unravel her world. Her once radiant spirit grew dim, as emotional chaos and behavioral struggles pulled her into isolation. Roles stopped coming. Friends and even family drifted away. The girl who once captivated millions became a recluse, misunderstood, mocked, and mostly forgotten. Then came the shocking chapter in 2015, her brief and troubled marriage to music engineer Jimmy Green, a man with a criminal record and a reputation that clashed with Lark's once wholesome image. The union crumbled in just a few months, swallowed by scandal, whispers of drug abuse, and emotional turmoil. By then, the vibrant starlet of yesterday was a shadow of her former self, appearing in fragmented interviews with distant eyes and a sadness that words couldn't quite reach. Lark Voorhees' story is more than a fall from fame. It's a painful portrait of mental illness, misguided love, and the brutal cost of being forgotten in an industry that only remembers you when you're shining. Raven-Symoné, from child star to fierce survivor of fame. Raven-Symoné didn't just grow up in front of the camera, she grew up in front of all of us. From the moment she appeared on The Cosby Show at just 3 years old, her wide-eyed innocence and natural charm made her a fixture in millions of childhood memories. Later, as the star of That's So Raven, she became a Disney icon, funny, confident, and seemingly unstoppable. But fame has a dark side, and Raven knew it all too well. As she entered her teen years, the magic began to fade, and the judgment began. The world stopped seeing her as the adorable little girl and started picking apart her appearance, her weight, and every step of her growing up. The pressure to stay perfect under the blinding lights became unbearable. But the real test of her strength came when Raven decided to live in her truth. Coming out as a queer woman, she faced a storm of backlash, especially from those unwilling to let go of the image they had built of her. Once embraced as America's sweetheart, she now found herself on the receiving end of hate and criticism. But Raven didn't crumble. She fought back, with grace, humor, and defiance. As a panelist on The View, she fearlessly tackled tough conversations and spoke her mind, refusing to be silenced. And after years of surviving the weight of public expectation, she finally found peace. On June 16, 2020, in a garden filled with roses and love, she married Miranda Pierman Mayday in Los Angeles. That day wasn't just a wedding, it was a victory. A celebration of self-love, authenticity, and the joy of finally living free. Gary Coleman, a life stolen by fame, betrayal, and heartbreak. He was the pint-sized powerhouse with a smile that lit up millions of living rooms. Gary Coleman, best known as the lovable Arnold Jackson on Different Strokes, captured hearts across the world with his wit, charm, and unforgettable catchphrase. By the time he was 10, Gary wasn't just a TV star, he was a millionaire. But behind the scenes, his life was unraveling faster than anyone could imagine. Born with a chronic kidney condition that stunted his growth to just 4 feet 8 inches, Gary didn't let his illness stop him from conquering Hollywood. But while he was busy winning over audiences, those closest to him were quietly robbing him blind. In 1989, a devastating truth came to light. Gary's own parents and business manager had embezzled nearly all of the $18 million he had earned as a child. After years of bitter court battles, he recovered only $1.3 million. Money that quickly disappeared under the weight of mounting medical bills. Gary's life became a series of painful chapters. Despite undergoing multiple kidney transplants and spending years tethered to dialysis, he fought to stay afloat. When he married Shannon Price, he hoped love might finally offer the peace fame never did. Instead, he found himself caught in a storm of public fights, allegations of abuse, and emotional chaos. Their marriage, brief and toxic, only deepened his isolation. Then, on May 28, 2010, tragedy struck. Gary suffered a catastrophic fall that led to a brain hemorrhage. In the hospital, unconscious and helpless, the final betrayal came. Shannon, his estranged wife, coldly authorized doctors to remove life support. At just 42 years old, Gary Coleman died, not surrounded by love, but by silence. He left this world not as the superstar he once was, but as a forgotten soul, burdened by pain, deception, and a cruel industry that used him up and threw him away. His story remains a haunting reminder. Not every child star gets a happy ending. Aaliyah, the final flight of the R&B princess. She was more than a singer. Aaliyah was a cultural force. Crowned the princess of R&B, she gave the world unforgettable hits like Try Again, Are You That Somebody, and One in a Million. With a voice that melted into your soul, a bold presence on screen in Queen of the Damned, and a style that redefined cool, her star was only rising. But just as she was stepping into superstardom, fate dealt a cruel blow. On August 25, 2001, after wrapping a demanding video shoot in the Bahamas, Aaliyah boarded a small private plane bound for the U.S. Alongside her were 8 others, friends, crew, collaborators. None of them would make it home. Overloaded with equipment and flown by an unlicensed pilot, the plane struggled from the start. Moments after takeoff, it buckled, then plummeted into the ground, erupting into a fireball that lit up the dawn sky. Just like that, a light the world wasn't ready to lose was extinguished. Her death was more than a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. A chilling reminder of how carelessness, greed, and neglect behind the scenes can cost lives. One avoidable mistake, and the world lost a legend in the making. Aaliyah was only 22. But in that short time, she left behind a legacy that will echo through music, fashion, and film for generations. Lisa Left Eye Lopez, a rebel's final journey. Lisa Left Eye Lopez wasn't just a member of TLC, she was its fire, its spark, its fearless soul. With razor-sharp rhymes, bold lyrics, and a style all her own, she helped catapult the group into superstardom, shaping the sound of the 90s with iconic albums like Crazy Sexy Cool and Fan Mail. Her voice echoed through unforgettable hits like Waterfalls and No Scrubs, but behind the fame and wild headlines was a woman searching, desperately, for peace. After years of controversy, heartbreak, and public struggles, Lisa yearned to reset her life. She turned to Honduras, a quiet place she believed held the power to heal her spirit. But destiny had other plans. On April 25, 2002, under the sweltering sun, Lisa was behind the wheel of an SUV on a rural road when tragedy struck. In an instant, the car veered off, slammed into a tree, and flipped. Just like that, the world lost one of music's most daring and unforgettable voices. She was only 30. She had gone to Honduras to find herself, to escape the chaos. But even in her search for peace, the storm never truly let her go. Brandy Norwood, a shining star shadowed by tragedy, but never extinguished. In the 90s, Brandy Norwood was a force of nature, a chart-topping singer with a golden voice and a rising actress who lit up television screens as Moesha. With hits like The Boy Is Mine, she wasn't just popular, she was iconic. At the height of her fame, Brandy seemed unstoppable. But everything changed in an instant. On a chilly evening, December 30, 2006, Brandy was driving along LA's busy 405 freeway when her car struck a vehicle ahead of her, setting off a chain reaction crash. One woman lost her life that night. Though Brandy was never criminally charged, the emotional toll was devastating. The public's judgment was swift and harsh, and Brandy, crushed by guilt and grief, quietly slipped away from the spotlight. The voice that once filled arenas fell silent. 4 years, she carried that weight in solitude, her once glittering career dimmed by a tragedy that haunted her every step. But stars like Brandy don't simply fade, they fight. Slowly, painfully, she began to reclaim her voice and her place in the world. With roles like Queens in 2021, she reminded us all of the strength that lies in survival. Today, Brandy Norwood isn't just a singer or an actress, she's a portrait of resilience. A woman who faced unimaginable pain and still chose to rise. Her story is no longer defined by that one dark night, but by the light she continues to share despite it. Orlando Brown. From Disney darling to redemption after the fall. Once a beloved face on Disney Channel, Orlando Brown's journey is one of painful descent and a hard-fought climb back up. Best known for his role as Eddie Thomas, the quick-witted aspiring rapper on That's So Raven, Orlando lit up the screen and captured hearts as one of Hollywood's most promising young stars. But when the lights faded, so did the boy fans once adored, replaced by a man spiraling into chaos. By 2016, his name was no longer tied to laughter or talent, but to a string of public meltdowns, drug arrests, and disturbing headlines. The once bright-eyed child star became unrecognizable, often seen in viral clips where his erratic behavior and disjointed speech shocked longtime fans. In 2018, he stunned the public with wild accusations, including a fabricated claim about fathering a child with co-star Raven-Symoné, and even stranger remarks about being watched by aliens. It was clear Orlando wasn't just battling addiction, he was waging war with his own mind. But rock bottom wasn't the end, it was the turning point. In a rare and powerful move, Orlando chose to face his demons head-on. He entered rehab, embraced faith, and began the difficult path of recovery. Today, he's no longer defined by the chaos of his past, but by the courage it took to seek healing. His road ahead may still be uncertain, but Orlando Brown is writing a new chapter, one of accountability, growth, and hope. Todd Bridges. From childhood fame to the fight of his life. Todd Bridges was once one of the most recognizable faces on television. The beloved Willis Jackson on Different Strokes, a show that lit up American living rooms throughout the 1980s. For a while, he was the symbol of youthful charm and success. But when the cameras stopped rolling, Todd's world began to fall apart. Fame, once a dream, quickly became a curse. At just 15, with Different Strokes behind him, Todd found himself adrift, directionless, disillusioned, and vulnerable. The pressure to live up to his childhood stardom proved suffocating. In the shadows of fading fame, he turned to drugs. Cocaine and heroin became his escape, numbing the pain of a career that seemed to vanish overnight. Then came the morning of February 2, 1989. A gunshot rang out in Los Angeles, and Todd Bridges was arrested, accused of drug possession and allegedly attempting to shoot a known dealer, Kenneth "Tex" Clay. Though he was ultimately acquitted, the damage was done. The golden boy of primetime TV had become tabloid fodder, his name now tethered to scandal and addiction. But behind the headlines was a deeper, more tragic truth. Todd later revealed he had been a victim of sexual abuse as a child, a secret he'd carried in silence for years. The trauma haunted him, driving his descent into drugs and self-destruction. For a time, it seemed Todd might never find his way back. But he did. Against all odds, he clawed his way out of the darkness. He got clean. He found purpose. And while he never fully reclaimed the stardom of his youth, he found something far more meaningful: redemption. Today, Todd Bridges stands as a powerful voice for recovery and resilience. He shares his story not to dwell on the past, but to warn others about the hidden dangers of fame and the wounds it often conceals. His journey is no longer one of tragedy, but of survival, healing, and hard-earned hope. Meagan Good. Meagan Good, a Hollywood beauty hiding a broken heart. Meagan Good has always turned heads, with her radiant beauty, undeniable talent, and magnetic presence on screen. From Think Like a Man to Shazam, she wasn't just acting, she was commanding attention, owning her space with boldness and grace. But behind the spotlight, behind the glamour, Meagan carried wounds no camera could capture. For a moment, it seemed like she had it all. On a golden summer evening, June 16, 2012, under the peaceful glow of Triunfo Creek Vineyards, she said, "I do," to Hollywood producer and devout pastor Devin Franklin. To the world, it looked like a fairy tale. Faith, love, and success wrapped into one perfect union. But fairy tales, as Meagan would later learn, can end in silence and heartbreak. On Christmas Day, 2021, the news stunned fans. Their seemingly unshakable marriage was over. The woman who once inspired so many with her love story was now facing the quiet wreckage of a public split. Behind the scenes, Meghan wrestled with grief, loss, and the kind of emotional pain that doesn't make headlines. But the heartache didn't stop there. As she tried to reclaim her peace, she was met with resistance, not just from within, but from the world around her. Her fierce independence, her outspokenness on feminism, and her refusal to conform drew waves of criticism. Society wanted her to shrink, to soften, to play a quieter role. But Meghan Good? She refused to disappear. Instead, she rose, stronger, wiser, and unapologetically herself. She stepped into new roles behind the camera, redefined her purpose, and reminded everyone watching, heartbreak doesn't have to be the end. Sometimes, it's where the real story begins. Merlin Santana, a rising star silenced by a lie. Merlin Santana, best known as the smooth-talking Romeo from The Steve Harvey Show, was one of Hollywood's brightest young black actors, a star whose future seemed limitless. But on the night of November 9, 2002, his life came to a brutal and senseless end, all because of one devastating lie. That evening, as he sat in a parked car with a close friend on a quiet Los Angeles street, Merlin had no idea he was moments away from tragedy. In an instant, gunfire shattered the stillness. A single bullet struck him in the head, killing him instantly. The reason? A false accusation. A 15-year-old girl had lied, claiming Merlin had made inappropriate advances. Fueled by that lie, her boyfriend and a group of accomplices set out for revenge. They didn't ask questions. They didn't look for truth. They just opened fire. Merlin never had a chance to defend himself. No trial. No justice. Just a life stolen in the blink of an eye. His death is a haunting reminder of how dangerous a lie can be. How words alone can become a weapon deadly enough to destroy the innocent. XXXTentacion, a star that burned too bright, too fast. XXXTentacion was more than a rapper. He was a raw, restless voice for a generation drowning in pain. Bursting onto the scene from the shadows of SoundCloud, he mesmerized millions with haunting tracks like Sad and Jocelyn Flores, songs that felt like pages torn straight from a tortured soul's diary. His albums 17 and didn't just showcase his unique artistry, they turned him into a symbol for young people silently fighting battles within. But just as his voice began to echo across the world, tragedy struck with brutal finality. On the afternoon of June 18, 2018, as he stepped out of a motorcycle dealership in South Florida, fate was already waiting. Moments after getting into his car, two armed men ambushed him in broad daylight. A single, deadly gunshot ended his life at just 20 years old. He was found slumped in his luxury BMW, next to a bag holding $50,000 in cash. Money he never got to spend, dreams he never got to live. Rushed to the hospital, there was no saving him. The world lost not just a young artist, but a broken poet whose music told the story of inner chaos and longing for peace. Though his time was painfully short, XXXTentacion's voice lives on, as a chilling, beautiful reminder of youth, vulnerability, and the dreams that die too soon. Cameron Boyce. Cameron Boyce, the Disney star whose life was stolen by a silent killer. He lit up our screens as the lovable Luke Ross in Jessie and the unforgettable Carlos in Descendants, charming millions with his boundless energy, dazzling dance moves, and heartfelt dedication to giving back. From a young age, Cameron wasn't just a rising star. He was a force of light, driven by compassion and purpose. But behind that bright smile was a battle few ever saw coming. On the night of July 6, 2019, after a long, exhausting day, Cameron retreated to his room and collapsed onto his white mattress, seeking rest, not knowing it would be his last. In the stillness of sleep, an unexpected seizure struck, claiming his life without a sound. The world lost more than an actor that night. It lost a vibrant soul, a young man whose future held so much promise. Taken far too soon by epilepsy, a chronic condition he rarely spoke about, Cameron's death sent shockwaves across the globe. And yet, his legacy lives on, in every laugh he sparked, every cause he championed, and every heart he ever touched. Marcus T. Polk, from child star to cautionary tale. Once a beloved face in living rooms across America, Marcus T. Polk stole hearts as Miles Mitchell on Moesha, captivating audiences with his boyish charm and effortless talent. He seemed destined for greatness, a young actor with the world at his feet. But fame, as it often does, proved to be a fragile gift. On the night of August 18, 2013, everything changed. During a heated altercation at a Beverly Hills nightclub, Marcus was arrested after his ex-girlfriend accused him of domestic violence. The incident stunned fans and tarnished his once wholesome image. Overnight, the sweet kid from Moesha became a headline for all the wrong reasons. Instead of rising through Hollywood ranks, Marcus became a symbol of wasted potential, a cautionary reminder of how quickly one moment of recklessness can unravel years of hard-earned success. The bright lights dimmed, and the industry turned its back, leaving behind a shattered legacy and a name now remembered more for controversy than talent. Jaleel White. Jaleel White, the unforgettable child star who became both a household name and a prisoner of his own success. As the nerdy, lovable Steve Urkel on Family Matters, with his squeaky voice, suspenders, and oversized glasses, Jaleel lit up television screens across America in the 90s. He wasn't just a character. He became a cultural phenomenon. But behind the laughter and catchphrases was a young actor slowly being consumed by the very role that made him famous. What once launched him to stardom soon became a shadow he could never escape. No matter how hard he tried to reinvent himself, Hollywood refused to let go of Urkel. Every audition, every performance, still haunted by the echo of "Did I do that?" And while the cameras eventually stopped rolling, the pressure never did. Off-screen, his personal life unraveled under the weight of expectation. Failed relationships, the constant scrutiny of fame, and the silent battle with mental strain pushed him to the edge. Jaleel's journey is a stark reminder that fame isn't always a blessing. It can be a double-edged sword. One that doesn't just build legends, it can break them too. Emmanuel Lewis. Emmanuel Lewis, from beloved star to quiet shadow. Once the face of America's favorite sitcom, Emmanuel Lewis lit up living rooms across the nation as Webster, the wide-eyed, big-hearted boy whose charm was impossible to ignore. In the 1980s, he wasn't just a child actor. He was a phenomenon. But as quickly as he rose, he seemed to vanish. No scandal. No headlines. Just silence. When the cameras stopped rolling, Emmanuel didn't chase the spotlight. Instead, he retreated, choosing a life of peace and solitude in a quiet home by a still, forgotten lake. No crowds. No applause. Just the echo of a past life. Some say he walked away disillusioned, worn down by an industry that often loves loudly but forgets even faster. Today, when his name is mentioned, it's with a soft sigh of nostalgia, a bittersweet memory of a boy who once made the world smile, now living in the shadows of yesterday's fame. Malcolm Jamal Warner, a star overshadowed, but never defeated. Malcolm Jamal Warner built a career on talent, integrity, and quiet resilience, but even that couldn't shield him from a storm he never caused. Beloved as the wise beyond his years Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, Malcolm grew into a powerhouse performer with standout roles in Suits, American Crime Story, and The Resident. Beyond acting, he carved a path as a gifted jazz musician and even won a Grammy for his spoken-word poetry. Yet no matter how brightly he shined, he couldn't outrun the shadow cast by Bill Cosby, his on-screen father turned disgraced figure at the center of one of Hollywood's most explosive scandals. Though Malcolm had no involvement and no accusations against him, the fallout from Cosby's actions tainted everything around it. Caught in the crossfire of public opinion, Malcolm made the choice to stay silent, an act of dignity that, unfairly, came at a cost to his momentum. But he didn't let it break him. Instead, he doubled down on his craft, let his artistry speak louder than the noise, and proved that true legacy isn't inherited, it's earned. His story is one of survival, grace, and the quiet power of rising above. Alfonso Ribeiro, a bright star haunted by his own legacy. For Alfonso Ribeiro, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wasn't just a career breakthrough, it became both a blessing and a lifelong burden. His portrayal of Carlton Banks, the quirky, preppy cousin with the unforgettable Carlton dance, made him a household name. But that fame came at a price. The role that catapulted him to stardom also cast a long, unshakable shadow, one that has followed him for decades. No matter how hard he's tried to evolve, whether it was his dazzling win on Dancing with the Stars in 2014 or his warm, charismatic turn as host of America's Funniest Home Videos, the world refuses to see him as anything other than Carlton. Every attempt to reinvent himself has been met with nostalgia-fueled resistance. Instead of being celebrated for his talent, he's often ridiculed, reduced to a punchline whenever he dares revisit the very dance that made him iconic. The media hasn't been kind, mocking him for clinging to the past, as if his legacy were a joke instead of a triumph. Over time, the laughter turned cruel, wearing down his confidence and leaving him quietly frustrated. Yet through it all, Ribeiro remains resilient. Refusing to be defined by a single chapter, he continues to chase new opportunities with grit and heart, determined to write a future that isn't dictated by the past, but built on his own terms. Keisha Knight Pulliam. Keisha Knight Pulliam, once the sweet, wide-eyed Rudy Huxtable who lit up millions of living rooms across America, seemed destined for lifelong stardom. As a child on The Cosby Show, she was more than just a cast member. She was a symbol of innocence, joy, and black excellence in primetime television. But when the show ended, so did her golden age, and Hollywood, once eager to embrace her, suddenly had no place for the girl who'd grown up before our eyes. In the years that followed, Keisha fought to stay relevant in an industry that had quietly moved on. She took on small roles, appeared on reality shows like Celebrity Big Brother, and poured herself into charity work. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't outrun the shadow of Rudy Huxtable, a character that had both made her and trapped her. Then came the heartbreak. Her marriage to former NFL player Ed Hartwell, once a bright spot in her life, crumbled almost as quickly as it began. Their divorce turned bitter, messy, and painfully public, with accusations, court battles, and private pain laid bare for the world to judge. Instead of empathy, Keisha was met with whispers and side eyes, the public questioning her story, her choices, even her worth. Today, the name Keisha Knight Pulliam doesn't command the spotlight it once did. To some, she's a distant memory, a once-beloved child star now drifting in the wake of a long-faded fame. But behind the headlines and the heartbreak lies a woman still standing, still trying, still searching for a new chapter in a town that rarely looks back. Kim Fields. Kim Fields, a childhood star whose light once lit up every living room in America, has faced more heartbreak than most ever knew. Beloved as the bubbly and innocent Tootie on The Facts of Life, Kim was more than just a sitcom sweetheart. She was a symbol of joy for an entire generation. Her charm carried into adulthood, with standout roles in Living Single and The Upshaws, proving she wasn't just a child star, she was a true talent. But behind the smiles and the steady presence on screen was a woman quietly carrying a lifetime of personal sorrow. In 2015, Kim's world crumbled when her 8-year marriage to Christopher